Hey, Drive Tribe! I'm here with Tom at Motorcar Gallery. Thank you for the invite.
You're welcome. Been here since 1986. So we got a lot to talk about, some great cars to look at, and let's take a walk around. Motorcar Gallery kind of prides itself on eclectic collection of cars. And we'll start off here with a 1988 and a half 328. This was almost an interim for the 328 series, as the next year they went to the ABS brakes, although the 88 and a half models have the what they call convex wheels, which were produced to be able to take the controls of the ABS on the calipers. So this is just a beautiful 15,000 mile version that we like, the little bit darker interior called tobacco, as opposed to the crema or the tan interiors. But this is a wonderful example, fully serviced, ready to go, and on the, pretty high on the collector spectrum because it's somewhat affordable at $129,000. Then we move forward over here to the latest from Ferrari in the 488 Spider. These are just incredible cars with unbelievable technology. To drive one is just a fantastic experience. 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. Just an amazing car. And to drive it is, like I said, just an experience that is incredible. Then we'll move forward past a couple other cars that we'll come back to, but I think we'll talk about a 1973 Daytona Ferrari. Now this is known as a cut coupe. This is a car that what started out its life as a coupe, but it's got the distinction of being the 10th from the last built. So it has a very, very late 17,000 serial number. The conversion to Spider was done in Italy and was done very tastefully and very, very well. The car drives exactly like a standard Spider. So at about a third of the price. And this particular version, or this particular example, has a rebuilt engine, rebuilt gearbox recently, and just drives like a bat out of hell. Wonderful car. And if you have any memories of Miami Vice, this is exactly the car that Miami Vice used for the first season, which was a Daytona Spider, although that was a Corvette replica. We can move forward over here to one of my favorite cars, the 246 Dino. This is the GT, this is the coupe, and you can tell the coupes as they have a uncut body line that goes the over the top of the car, because the Spiders, the top came off, and all the Spiders had a flat black roof that fit behind the seats. The coupes are known to handle and drive a little bit tighter than the Spiders. Obviously, they've got a body that makes it a little tighter because it's all connected instead of cut on the roof. But the 246 Dinos are just classic design. The Pininfarina used the styling cues right from the race car, which was the 206 SP, and put it on the road. And today, these are the icons. So, moving back to the eclecticness of Motorcar Gallery, we've got a couple of different cars here. This is a Intermeccanica Italia. This car was what we call a hybrid out of Italy in the late 60s, early 70s. They were steel-bodied, beautiful design, utilizing American V8s. And this has a Ford 351 cubic inch motor. The Intermeccanica is actually still in business today, producing a Porsche replica. But these were terrific cars that utilizing mostly Italian parts, although it has the reliability of an American engine. And if you look closely, although we're very tight in the showroom, the size and the proportions of this Italia are very, very similar to the Daytona. So to see this car going down the road, it's spectacular. And they drive great. They're just, just a 1971 car that with the a little bit of antiquated parts, but this particular version was completely restored with a picture book showing a full rotisserie restoration. This is a 1948 Tatra T87. This car model gained some notoriety because Jay Leno's got one, and he did an episode of his show featuring this car. These cars have an amazing history. Tatra was started out as a coach builder in the horse and buggy era in Czechoslovakia, and they are actually still in business today, producing trucks and buses. The T87 was designed by the same engineer as the Hindenburg blimp, the Zeppelin that people know, and his best friend actually was Ferdinand Porsche. They were both Austrian. And if you take a look at the early drawings of the Volkswagen Bug, you're looking at almost the same thing. They're rear engine, air-cooled, very aerodynamic cars. The T87s were designed in 1937, and that was a pretty tumultuous time in Czechoslovakia as Hitler had invaded and basically took over Czechoslovakia. The Tatra factory kept on plugging away, and they were one of the best cars produced in the world at that point, and very, very highly engineered. The T87s had some notoriety because in, I believe it was 1938 or 39, Hitler's officers were all driving Tatras, and due to the nature of the design with the rear engine with swing axles in the back, they were known to be very fast but very, very scary in corners. And there's actually a letter from Hitler at the Tatra Museum banning all his officers from driving Tatras because they were all getting killed. They were probably in the middle of a corner at speed and let off the throttle, and that back end comes right around. But this particular example was restored by a company called Ikora in Czech Republic, in Prague, and they specialized in just Tatras. And there is a bit of a following overseas, and with Jay's Leno's exposure, they're getting to be known as nice museum pieces. But this particular example is wonderfully restored. So, we've come upon a 1966 Jag E-Type Roadster. These are the cars that Enzo Ferrari called the most beautiful car ever produced. And this is a wonderful, wonderful example that was fully restored by a Jag Mark expert. Just recently won an award down at the Miami Concourse for Best in Class. And this is a fantastic car. The E-Types were the culmination of all the racing and all the expertise that Jaguar accumulated over the years. Inboard disc brakes on an independent rear suspension, a straight six utilizing AA arm suspension, and 3 carbs. Now the 1966 was the last year of the twin cam 3 carb. And as you can see, this is fully restored and runs fantastic. E-Types were introduced in 1961, and as I said, the Series 1s finished up in 1966. This was the last year where there was no regulations. They had covered headlights, 3 carbs, they had the tail lights above the bumpers, and these are considered the pinnacle of the E-Type. And as you can see, they're a driver's car. Here we are at a 1996 Porsche C4S that just recently was sold. Haven't even moved it off the showroom floor yet, but sort of highlighting this car due to the fact that this particular car, Porsche C4S, has had the absolute most inquiries of any car that we've had all year long. There is something about the 993 C4S that Porsche files are all drooling over, and this particular version was a two-owner car that well maintained, in the right color with the sport seats. But wonderful car to drive, and it's a car that you can use every day. Air conditioning's cold, starts up, works, no quirkiness, the windows go up and down, and when you want to get on it and go, you're going. The last car here in the showroom that we'll highlight today is a 1966 Rolls-Royce. And I always tell people this has the longest name of any car that we've ever had the luxury of selling. It is a 1966 Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud 3 Mulliner Park Ward Flying Spur. This particular car is number 9 of 19 produced, all aluminum coachwork by Mulliner Park Ward. And this example was the 1966 Los Angeles Auto Show podium car for Rolls-Royce. It was sold right off the show floor to a family in Beverly Hills and remained there for many, many years. And then it was sold to the Piazza family. Many people might know Mike Piazza, the ball player. Well, his family also has a lot of car dealerships in eastern Pennsylvania. And this car sat on the showroom floor of at least one of the dealerships for the past 14 years. We acquired the car from the family, and it has been a wonderful, wonderful addition to our inventory. We've taken it to shows, and it's always come home with a ribbon or a trophy. And this is just considered the driver's car for Rolls-Royce. Most Rolls-Royces you're driven in, but a Flying Spur you drove. So here at Motorcar Gallery, we pride ourselves on being somewhat of a full-service dealership. And here we have our wash area. This is where the cars get that final shakedown and clean up before heading to the showroom floor or to your garage. But we're about to enter our full workshop here. It is lunchtime, so there's a few people not here right now. But we're blessed to have 5 in-ground lifts. As you take a look, these cars are lifted up from underneath with no posts, so we can open the doors and get in and out with no problems. What we have on the lifts here today are some pretty important cars. We have a Maserati Mistral Spider, one of 125 produced. This version, or this example, is getting a new fuel pump, which is quite common. But today, when you rebuild a fuel pump on a Maserati or any of the cars, seals and O-rings and everything are much better than what they were back in the day. You know, modern chemical compounds and that sort of thing. The second car here is we just replaced or reinstalled a rebuilt engine on a 1968 Ferrari 330 GTS. That is the second to last car built, and that's a very important car. As you can see by the paint, it's very original, which we intend to keep original. That will not get restored. And then here we have a 308 GTB that we sold, and just checking out, making sure everything's good before the car is delivered. But nice 12,000 mile example that is going to stay local. We're excited to have him here. And then carrying on, these are some cars that just are getting checked out before either sold or this particular car has a test drive today. So just making sure everything's good on the 1965 Corvette 327, 375 horse, better known as a Fuelie. Then here we're coming upon probably my favorite car to drive today, which is a 2015 Ferrari 458 Speciale. This particular car is the most amazing car to drive on the track, as it is not turbocharged, so it sounds fantastic and is as close to a race car for the street as you're going to find.
Is this for sale as well?
This particular car is for sale, and we're asking $365,000. It has just 7,000 miles. Excuse the floor mat there, but that's the paper that goes in so they don't get dirty by the text. But carbon brakes, fantastic suspension, wonderful aerodynamics. So the history of Motorcar Gallery facility goes back to the days of Rolls-Royce. This was the original Rolls-Royce dealership here in Fort Lauderdale, and we still have one of the original techs from that era, and we still work on Rolls and Bentley. One of the other parts of Motorcar Gallery is storage, and sometimes storage turns into overflow for the workshop, especially when they're disabled. But reinstalling an alternator on a Toyota Land Cruiser. But this is our storage facility. This is overflow for both the showroom and the workshop, but we do offer convenient storage for clients, especially snowbirds here in Florida. The cars are covered, they're started, they're usually kept on trickle chargers for at least a week to 2 weeks of every month, and we rotate them. But some of the cars are for sale. This Aston Martin being one of them. This just got out of the workshop, so it'll be going on back to the showroom floor. And we have a few other cars in here that are for sale. But this one is one of the stars of the dealership right now. There's a little race car that hopefully will get Motorcar Gallery some exposure at some of the vintage events around the country. Yeah, we have a 430 Challenge car in the back that's here in storage till the next event, I believe, at Sebring. And then tucked in the corner, we'll take a quick look here. This is a very special car. This is over here. What we have is a 1949 Maserati A6 1500. This is the most valuable car in the dealership, and we had a client on the car from Europe, and so that's why it's here. But this is the 9th Maserati produced. I should say the 9th street car, or street version Maserati produced. Body by Farina. This was even before Pinnin came along. But these are very, very special cars that are Milia eligible. So this is a car that you could rally all across the world, and wherever it goes, it's known as one of the prettiest cars. Doesn't do it justice here in the corner, but we're hoping that the gentleman in Europe will be taking delivery soon.